What if I told you that all of our empathy is driving us off of a cliff? Today we are going to look at 4 brilliant minds who came to the same conclusion that our compassion is killing us. Let's go. Professor in higher education, and he came to the conclusion that suicidal empathy is the compassion so extreme that it undermines the survival of one's own values, culture, or mission. And he brings this into play on a societal level that has a lot to do with how countries interact with one another, or even take in immigrants from other countries in such a fashion that destroys their own polity, destroys their own cohesion as a culture. And he drives this home in his book, many books that he's written. Watch a bit from him.
Active, or it misfires in directing the empathy to the wrong person. So, for example, illegal immigrants more important than American vets, right? And I can show you many public policies where you have these insane policies, all of which are due to suicidal empathy. So to answer your question, I think that the Western mind is we are kind, tolerant, compassionate, empathetic people. There are people out there, they're Guatemalan, they're Honduran, they're Yemeni, who don't have it as well as we do. Wouldn't it be nice if we open up our doors? So the reflex is a noble one. It's a nice one, but it exists in unicornia. The real world doesn't operate that way. If you let in people that have a huge hatred of homosexuality, are you going to have an increase in homophobia in your country or a decrease, right? So I think that's the answer. The answer is misdirected empathy across the West.
Allie Beth Stuckey is a conservative podcaster and an author, and she talks about toxic empathy, which is the idea that empathy enables dysfunction by refusing to acknowledge hard truths. And she brings the therapeutic mind, the therapeutic culture into this quite a bit, which is particularly convicting for me as a therapist for the last 13 years. She brings to bear this on gender ideology and many of the ways that we give compassion to groups of people who then turn around and manipulate and use it against the public. Watch this.
To be a very empathetic person. This is different than sympathy, which is feeling for someone or feeling with someone, but not necessarily putting yourself into their position and taking on the full depth of their pain. But both sympathy and empathy can be harmful. Both can be destructive, but especially empathy. So how? Because feeling too much for someone can blind us to reality, a reality that is bigger than someone's experience and pain. It can make us forego principles that are higher than this person's experience and pain. It can cause us to ignore the truth, the objective truth, in favor of how a person feels. So when we allow someone's pain to become our own pain, we then become unable to separate feelings, which are subjective, from reality, which is objective.
Thirdly, we have a gentleman named Rob Henderson, who is a Harvard University graduate who wrote about luxury beliefs, which are things like defunding the police. He links marriage is optional, gender is fluid, police are oppressive. All these beliefs where they call them like Lamborghini liberals or high society liberals who can hold these beliefs, look virtuous for holding them, and then turn around and influence people of lower classes or lower socioeconomic status with these beliefs, and in a way that ends up hurting them. Watch this from Rob.
Cambridge. Along the way, I came up with the term luxury beliefs. They're ideas held by privileged people that make them look good, but actually harm the marginalized. It's like virtue signaling, with consequences.
Defund the police.
Why should we defund the police?
Take defund the police. Classic luxury belief. That cause was most supported by the wealthiest Americans. It was least supported by poor Americans who are at least twice as likely to be victims of violent crime compared to the middle class. Where I grew up, we were lucky there were police to call. Next up, decriminalizing drugs. That's another luxury belief.
All drugs should be decriminalized.
I want to decriminalize drug possession for personal use, and here's why.
Should crystal meth be legal? The answer is yes.
That movement has been most supported by well-educated Americans, Less so by those without a college degree, who are more likely to experience the downsides of the drug trade.
Lastly, we have Chris Williamson, who talks about toxic compassion. This podcaster has brought to light that compassion has been used to pacify you. So if you hold a view that is antithetical to what the normal liberal view is, then you'll be told that you're toxic, you're a bigot, or in some way you're fascist, or another label, which is simply gaslighting because you don't want to try to reckon with these hard truths that might be necessary in order to push humanity in a better direction, but we cannot take them in because that makes us a bigot. Real quick, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I am a dissident therapist of 13 years, and I really try to share what's true and explicitly wrong about my industry on this channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can be notified when we make a video. Thank you so much.
Toxic compassion is the prioritization of short-term emotional comfort over everything else, over truth, reality, actual long-term outcomes, flourishing, everything. It optimizes for looking good rather than doing good. And this is seen in much of popular culture as the desirable, fair, empathetic thing to do. And it's everywhere. People would rather claim that body fat has no bearing on health and mortality outcomes to avoid making overweight people feel upset, even if this causes them to literally die sooner or have a worse quality of life over the long run.
Real empathy is truth plus responsibility, not sentiment without a spine. It is time for us to engage and move away from this toxic compassion, which has darn near ruined our culture. Let's do this together. If you would love the support of the people on this channel as well as myself, you can hit me in the email that should be on the channel notes, or you can simply like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll walk through hell together. Let's do it.